So this morning I was coming to do this, and I actually went to my desk, and I have my stuff, and I grabbed the notebook I had brought to Barney Frank's office. I said, I wanted to refresh my memory. So I started reading this morning with coffee. I started reading the notes I had actually brought to Barney Frank's office. And as I'm reading them, I said, wow. I was quite proud of myself, because I think things we're talking about still after this law is passed, we're talking about as a nation. Like, should health insurance be mandated? Is that a right? You know, should it be mandated? So as I'm reading over my notes, I'm saying, wow, I had some really good points there and good solid questions. I started to have, what feelings of what had happened in August, last August in Barney Frank's office. And just by reading my notes, I wrote down words I'd felt. And I said, keep it short. And so I wrote the words, I was nervous, excited, I felt prepared. And then once I got there, it was, I felt he was abrupt, dismissive, condescending. I was surprised. I felt naive. I expected a dialogue. There was no interest. There was no interest in me. If he had just said to me, perhaps, is there any personal interest in this? I mean, obviously I'm sitting in his office, but do you have an ongoing medical condition, or is someone sick in your family? He would have known. My great concern was not for so much myself or my husband or a healthy 20-year-old, but it was for a 14-year-old special needs child with uncontrollable epilepsy. And then the final thing I wrote was arrogance. I felt, as I had a long drive back to the Cape that day, and I was quite upset, what occurred to me by the time I got home was the arrogance. That was the big thing. That he could have just yabbed me to death. He could have chose. I was there just by myself, and I had said to him, I'm reading off notes because I'm not a professional. This is not what I do. I don't do meetings. I do laundry. I don't do meetings. That he was so arrogant, and that I was just a stay-at-home mom sitting across from him. He could have just said, yeah, Diana, I see your point. Whatever. I'll take it under consideration. He could have just been agreeable with me. And he had a choice. To me, he had a choice. We all have a choice. I'll take it under consideration. He had a choice. And instead of choosing just to, to a degree, you'd say, yab me to death, or say, okay, I've heard what you said. I'll take it under consideration. He chose not to. And I realized with that, going back to the word arrogant, I felt like he was so confident he would be reelected. He was so confident it was his seat. I didn't matter. I wasn't anybody. To a degree, I felt like I was like a fly in the office. Just, a little fly, Diana, and you're irritating with all these questions. I don't want to assume what he was thinking. I mean, I went with specific questions about the bill, and that's one of the things too, is I didn't want to go with general thing going, I don't have a good vibe about this, or I'm not sure. I went with specific questions about the bill, because I wanted to say, I'm reading this. So no, I don't think he took it that I was coming from a political agenda, because I was reading back exact passages. I mean, it's not passages, exact things from I was reading back exact sections of the bill. I didn't go there and pronounce, this can't happen. I really, truly, in my heart, was looking for a dialogue. Explain this to me. I guess when you say qualifying insurance, tell me that will be worked out before this bill is passed. I didn't get that. Because, to be honest, there was no dialogue. And I do think once there was questions about it, that I wasn't saying, please, what can I do to help get this, HR 3200 passed? He wasn't interested. I've lived in Pennsylvania, and I've also lived in Florida. I was born and raised in Massachusetts, in Rainham, and I've left twice. And I've always come back. Yeah, and I guess when the health care bill came up and why I got interested, obviously I have very personal, my son. As my children have gotten older, I think I was a little political when I was younger. I went to Salem State College, and my friends and I think when you're younger, there's that environment. But I married young. I married my senior year in college, and then we moved quite a bit. So I wasn't really political. When I came, I was living in in Pennsylvania. I came back to Massachusetts, and I believe it was in '94. And Ted Kennedy was running for office for the Senate, to get reelected. I actually took my 4-year-old, Thomas, he was 4 then, and we stood out the Lily B. Merrill School in Rainham, Massachusetts, and I had held a sign for Ted Kennedy. And Mitt Romney was running against Ted Kennedy. So that's what my last political thing I would say was I held a sign at the Lily B. Merrill School in Rainham for Ted Kennedy, Mitt Romney was running against him. So that was a long time ago. And then as I had my son Patrick, my life took a different direction. And basically my focus is on my family and, of course, my son. Having my son, to be honest, with uncontrollable epilepsy and special needs, is a full-time job. And that's most of my energy, because I have to constantly watch Patrick and oversee that he's safe. So it's a full-time job. So now I would say I jumped from the '94 campaign for Ted Kennedy to going to Barney Frank's office to talk about a health care bill in 2009. So. I don't know if this is relevant, but I guess getting back to Barney Frank, that he didn't really take any time to find out anything about me, or to just something personal. Not that it's about me, but that if he had taken a moment to ask any question, he would have known that I was a registered Democrat my whole life. I grew up in a Democratic family. I was a registered Democrat to 2008. I became unenrolled because I was not happy with the political parties. I felt the country was going in the wrong direction. And I said, I don't want to be affiliated with either party. But I don't know if he put me in a pigeonhole, is that the word you said? I don't know if he put me in a category of somebody he thought I was. He did that. Where I had questions about the health care bill, and they were some of the thing I'm reading the section, I was critical, saying I don't understand that, or I don't like that he didn't take the time to find out anything about me. He put a label on me. And if he had just, maybe there was some dialogue between us, I would have said, Mr. Frank, I have voted for you my whole life. I think that's one of the reasons, reflecting back over a year's time that this meeting happened. It was a half hour a year ago, and I'm still talking about it. But it was such a grave disappointment to me that these are the people, not just Barney Frank, but this is who's looking out for my family. Yes. I've always voted for Barney Frank. Yes, totally different. 2010, I think a lot's going to happen. A lot's going to happen in November. I think the mood in the country. I think people like me, that I was, which everyone's life's busy. But I think just my life, I was busy. I was at home, I'm raising a family, I had different priorities. I guess everything was fine. I think we're at a juncture in this country right now. I think special needs moms that are at home full time are waking up. I think people are getting involved, which I think is great. I say everybody needs to get involved.